Treksploration.
Hello and welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie.
I'm Allison.
And we are here talking about Star Trek Voyager Season 6, Episode 11, Fairhaven. Christopher D. Philippus is on assignment in Europe. What kind of assignment is he on, Allison?
He went to Ireland to find a shillelagh.
I wouldn't doubt it. He sends us videos in that group chat, and I'm like, are those two countries like next to each other? I don't even know. Like one night he's in Prague, the next night where was he? I forget.
I don't know.
Beautiful culture and buildings over there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris is on assignment. He's traveling the world with his wife, Dr. Laura, and we're here talking about Star Trek. You might know Allison Pregler from Everything Internet, and she's from Movie Nights and Allison Pregler on YouTube. And the reason I came up with talking about Fairhaven for this episode is one of my favorite videos that you've done, Allison, is Spirit Folk. So you have a little bit of experience with these characters, right?
Yeah, I just had to get back to Fairhaven. I had to see what was going on in this rich world of Fairhaven. Thank you for bringing me back there.
One of my favorite lines, like I don't obsessively watch your videos like Rennie does, but I hear them in the background when she's watching them a lot. She likes to watch things over and over again. And one of my favorite lines of yours is, "What the is Fairhaven?"
But really, though, I mean, Voyager, I like holodeck episodes. I do. I know some people really don't like them, but I enjoy just going on a random adventure. I enjoy that in Star Trek, they're like, in the future, people love LARPing. That's what they're going to do. But Voyager was always very strange, which ones they decided that they were going to use for the holodeck. And Fairhaven was... perhaps one of their more boring examples. But I do think that this episode was better than Spirit Folk. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think so. I like both of them. I think me and Rennie, when we obsess about something, she's seen probably thousands of episodes of Star Trek, but it's only the same 50 over and over again. Which, I indulge because if she wants to watch Star Trek, sure, I'll watch Star Trek. Every once in a while, there's a new episode in there, but it's a hard way to get through them all. But she really likes Fairhaven and Spirit Folk. Like she'll do the double feature a lot.
So she's into the Irish town. She likes the lore built into that.
Yeah, she likes that. I think part of it is because it's a holodeck and it's not the standard. They're on the bridge and fighting things and firing photon torpedoes and all that stuff.
Yeah, you got the soothing like flute music that plays with it too. I could see that being sort of like comforting,
Yeah, I would probably buy the soundtrack if it came out. I mean, I think that's a lot of the reason why I listen to some Irish music.
They probably do have the soundtrack for this episode somewhere with how obsessive people are with Star Trek. Like I know there's some tracks that are available, like from like Bride of Chaotica, for example. So,
oh, really? Well, if you find them, let me know.
You just Google it and you can find it because I found some when I did a video. My most recent Star Trek video is Bride of Chaotica, and
that was a good one.
The tracks for that.
I watched that day one. I think it was pretty good.
That one was a really good holodeck episode for Voyager. They have not had great luck with holodeck episodes, but Bride of Chaotica was really good.
I think they have more holodeck episodes than any other series, but it makes sense since they're out there just traveling back and bored.
Yeah, if you're just kind of stuck out there, you don't know when you're going to get home, you got to entertain yourself, I guess. I mean, if you count the tiki bar stuff and all that, a lot of the time they kind of integrated the holodeck as just like a hangout place rather than like a story. It's not like they were just in a, I mean, Bride of Chaotica was like, oh, this is a chapter of a story.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were just like, this is just our hangout place. It just happens to be on the holodeck.
Yeah, almost like Vix ended up being in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, they did do that with Deep Space Nine. That's true.
But yeah, it's more of a recreational place to go and almost like another part of the ship. I kind of like that.
Yeah. It didn't make a lot of sense. They had a separate power source so that they could kind of like fudge around using it and be like, it's fine. They can use it on a separate power source or, we don't have to like.
And they're not smart enough to figure out how to. And yet in this episode, I'm jumping ahead. at the end when they're trying to get out of the anomaly, and they're like, use everything, use the power from the holodeck.
No, we have to get rid of Fairhaven. It was a very similar dilemma to Spirit Folk, you know, where they're like, are we going to lose Fairhaven? But like, I feel like Janeway had a better head on her shoulders about it this time around than last time when she's like, and just let Harry and Tom die, whatever. Yeah. We got to save her.
Let him die. Save Michael.
Save Michael. Delete the wife.
Delete the wife. But so I guess they can use the power if they want to, but not to make a cup of coffee, maybe. But who knows?
Yeah, just depends on how cranky Janeway is.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of opinions on the internet about this, so I think this will be interesting. Before we do that, let's. Did you hear the news about Strange New Worlds? It's ending after a shortened season 5, so we'll get to season 4. Which is short to begin with, I think, 13 episodes? And then they'll do a season 5, which is, I want to say 6 episodes?
Oh, okay. I am just hearing about this today, basically, like when you posted about it and now.
Thoughts?
So, I mean, Strange New Worlds is really good. So it is a bummer that it's ending, but like, I mean, if it ends on its own terms and it has a good ending, it's still a decent run for a streaming show, I think.
Yeah, nowadays, what were they saying? There'll be 46 episodes, which is about the same as the first 2 seasons of Enterprise. But they spread it out over how many years, you know?
Yeah, the thing that we're missing from streaming eras now, which old Star Trek was really good at, you get a lot of crap filler. You get stuff like Fairhaven. And for better or worse, you know, like you got to kind of live in the world a bit. So even if it was like kind of a crunchy, crappy episode, you're like, you know what? I kind of like seeing their adventures, even if it wasn't like a banger, you know? Doesn't always have to be like a big story.
You see their interactions, you see their day to day, and it's not everything's blowing up and end of the universe every single episode.
Yeah, that was one of the positives for this episode. I'll give it is that it's not like high stakes. They're kind of exploring something a little smaller.
Yeah, like a character study almost of probably mostly Janeway, I'd say.
Yeah.
Janeway focused episode. So we're talking about Star Trek Voyager season 6 episode 11 Fairhaven. No star date, but it takes place somewhere in 2376 on the Gregorian calendar. According to StarTrek.com, the episode lists the provisional star date for this episode is 53407. So it's in between other star dates, so they kind of figured that out. Real-time original air date was January 12th, the year 2000.
In the year 2000. In the year 2000.
Need my flashlight. So this is 25 years old. A little bit over. This is crazy. The script is by Robin Berger. 25 years.
So time has no meaning. Robin Berger. What else did she write for Star Trek? I'm not familiar with it.
I did not look up the name other than copying it. So I'm going to do that now.
I'll look it up on IMDb.
There you go. First to the clue, first to the key, first to the egg.
I'm assuming this is a she. Could be a he. It does not specify on IMDb.
Okay, movies and shows. Not the same.
Robin Berger.
Looks like some holiday romance movies. Interesting. Some nope, that came up wrong.
Is this someone under? They have a different name now. This is Robin Bernheim, and it was as Robin Berger, so maybe she got married.
Oh, okay, I got you. So yeah, a lot of looks like Hallmark style movies.
Princess Switch, producer of Tequila and Bonetti. Yes.
So she's got cred.
Heck yeah! Oh man, she's got so many of these like Hallmark Christmas type things now.
When Calls the Heart, my mom loves that.
She was a producer on Quantum Leap in season 5.
Wow! So I can interview the director of Fairhaven. I might have to do that.
I think she wrote an episode. This name does seem familiar to me. See, writer, I know Quantum Leap. Yeah, she wrote 5 episodes. She wrote Leaping of the Shrew, Deliver Us from Evil, Tale of Two Sweeties, Dr. Ruth, everyone's favorite.
Oh, I like that.
And Memphis Melody. She wrote a lot in season 5.
Wow, no way.
Yeah. She wrote a Next Gen episode too, The Hunted, in season 3.
Maybe that's why I like this episode. Maybe
it does have a little bit of that Quantum Leapy feel.
Yeah, it's got the story over action thing going on.
Oh man, she wrote Memorial. Is that the one? That's the one with the Vietnam planet, and it's kind of like Inner Light, but Vietnam. Is that what
Oh,
Memorial was?
that sounds like it.
I think that's
I like
Memorial.
that
I'm
one.
sorry, that episode's dog to me.
I think that's the one. 26 episodes?
Yeah, because she's a producer for a bunch of things, and she wrote 3 episodes of Voyager. It was Fairhaven,
right,
Memorial, and Live Fast and Prosper. All season 6 episodes.
Nice. Wow. Well, I learned more about this in the past 5 minutes than I have my whole life. Thank you, Allison.
We were learning together. I knew I
great.
recognized that name, though. Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
Oh,
I'm going to have her on one of my shows.
Heck yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. I had no idea. My universe is colliding. The streams are crossing. Maybe that's why I like it. Okay. That gives me more of a defense of why I like this episode. Okay. Treksploration episode recap for Fairhaven in the style, the best I could, of Christopher D. Philippus. Of course, no one can match the Christopher D. Philippus, but I'll do my best. Season 6, episode 11, Fairhaven, or Janeway's holographic boyfriend experience. Ah, yes, Fairhaven, the episode where the crew of Voyager gets a break from cosmic anomalies, temporal paradoxes, and 7 of 9 roasting them all like marshmallows, and instead retreats to the 19th century Irish countryside, or at least a holographic facsimile of one, complete with questionable accents, thatched roofs, and the kind of pub where no one ever has to clean the bathrooms. So, Tom Paris, the avatar of chaotic neutral energy, decides to program this pastoral fantasy land because apparently he's over World War II and black and white Flash Gordon serials. Enter Fairhaven, a town where the beer flows, the wind never blows. And apparently every character's personality is set to charmingly rustic with a dash of one note. It's like Disneyland for homesick Federation officers with rural cosplay fetishes. Now, if you thought the Doctor dating was wild, get ready for Captain Janeway to catch feelings for a hologram named Michael Sullivan, the pub owner with a heart of gold and the fashion sense of a sentient throw pillow. Let's be real. Janeway walks into this episode radiating, I've had it with stellar cartography and subspace anomaly energy. Sees the walking Hallmark original, which, wow, now we know.
That makes sense.
And makes sense. And proceeds to customize him like he's a Build-A-Boyfriend plushie, which I have ideas. She literally deletes his wife. Deletes his wife. Delete the wife.
Delete the wife.
Delete the Michael. Captain Catherine, coffee first, morality later, Janeway basically commits ethical manslaughter on a fictional woman so she can get her holohunk on without feeling awkward.
She pulled a Tuvix on him.
She did. She just straight up murdered that woman. But wait, it gets better or worse depending on your tolerance for melodramatic techno romance. Janeway starts dating Michael, whom is now smarter, taller, and slightly less Irish by way of Milwaukee. And things are going swimmingly until her guilt catches up with her and a painfully awkward breakup. It's kind of like, it's not you, it's me, and also the fact that you were born from photons and poor script decisions. Meanwhile, see, Chris doesn't like most things. Meanwhile...
Chris wrote this then?
No, it's a long story.
Is you trying to imitate Chris?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure
he would write
won't
this.
Like it.
He would think this.
Exactly. I'm trying to do it from his perspective. And I'm trying to use big words that I don't normally know. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew gets on the Fairhaven action. The Doctor somehow becomes the town priest. Harry Kim flirts with holograms that are marginally less responsive than his dating history. And 7 of 9 tries to understand Seamus Driscoll, I'm thinking that's how you pronounce it, during a game of rings. In the end, Janeway locks the program away like a bad Tinder date and reminds herself why falling in love with literal lines of code is probably not the best use of command time. Chakotay wisely says nothing because even he knows not to poke the bear when she's holodating. Fairhaven is Voyager's bold experiment in mixing small-town Irish cliches with Starfleet ethics, and the result is like someone poured Guinness on a motherboard and called it romance. It's cozy, cringy, and confusing, just like a real vacation. Would we go back? Maybe, but only if someone finally gives holograms union rights. To be continued in 7 or so episodes.
You know, that sounded like Chris. You did a good job.
Yeah.
It sounded like what he'd say.
Yeah, I have to look up some of those words. When I'm doing a show with him, I usually have to like do a little marker thing. I don't know if it shows up on your end, but I do a little marker thing, and that's when I look up a word. Or I have to cut out a curse. So he's profane sometimes.
I'll have to watch it because, I may forget to.
Well, we're not live this time, so that's good.
Okay.
First impressions for Fairhaven. What do you think? What are your opinions?
I mean, I probably spoiled a little bit of this before while I was just rambling on, but I think it's better than Spirit Folk. Fairhaven's not my favorite place for them to visit, but I think there were like interesting things here. I think there was more stuff in this episode that explored Janeway in an interesting way. So taken in pieces, there are some interesting things here.
My first impression is I love this episode. I know a lot of people hate it, but I'm a romantic guy. I'm a romance novel guy. I'm a Hallmark movie guy, and I can watch the same story set in the same small town over and over again. And every time at the end, I go, oh,
Isn't it so romantic when she goes, delete the wife? It's Janeway.
That was pretty messed up, but she murders people. That's what she does. She doesn't think twice. How can I evolve this story and just get to know them and be friends and then somehow push her off a ledge? She just deletes her.
See, this is where the episode doesn't stick the landing for me. This is where it could be good, but they don't quite get to where they need to be, because there's a lot of issues in this, how sentient are these holograms?
Mm-hmm.
Is it real? How genuine is this? And if you're going to delete the wife, if she's just an NPC basically, and you can just get rid of her, then you got to consider, is Michael Sullivan basically the same?
Right.
And they have these conversations, or Janeway has these conversations with the Doctor about this, but they don't really get into the fact the Doctor is also a hologram.
It's really awkward, right?
Hologram. So yeah, it's like, why don't they discuss this together? Like, what is the difference here? Is there a difference? Is this ethical? They could do basically Measure of a Man, but with dating and holograms, and they don't really get there.
She's using a hologram as a sounding board about how she doesn't think holograms are real.
Yeah, there's several times in this. There's one conversation in particular where she says like, "Oh, but he's a hologram. That it doesn't really count." To the Doctor, to his face, which is really kind of rude, I think. But
she's rude a lot to the Doctor. She's always trying to mess with him, and she always treats him like a toaster. I think.
Yeah, she was a lot worse in the early seasons, but like this is season 6. She really should have evolved more, especially when she's considering dating a hologram. She should have some different thoughts on this.
Is this before or after Latent Image, where she finally, lets him go through the trauma and she sits with him?
I don't know,
but I'd say if it's after, then she's being very disrespectful to his sentience.
Yeah, I think sometimes the Doctor forgets he's a hologram too, though. There are times where he acts like, "Oh, I'm not like these stupid holograms." It's like, you are a stupid hologram. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's almost like the one that was let in the clubs and then acts like he's above everybody else that's still on the outside.
Yeah.
Without being too specific,
I
don't know.
Scab hologram, like he's like, I got mine.
I don't know how that works. Okay, we'd like to thank special lifetime member, the Omnipotent Willard, and our crew, Cadet Listen Linda, Lieutenant Commander Scott Segelman, Lieutenant Commander Cosplay Dad, and Captain Charles from Texas. Captain Charles, we got some feedback from him later. And thank you to our free patrons as well and all our subscribers. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And hopefully we'll get more eyes on this. Every time you're on our show, we seem to triple, quadruple our audience. So I appreciate that, Allison.
Oh, no problem. Hey, guys, if you're just here for me, you should check out the other episodes. They do good stuff.
Yeah, so subscribe. That's the important part right now. And comment down below. The algorithm likes that. Feedback. We got feedback from Charles from Texas. I put out a thing on our Patreon of what are your thoughts on Fairhaven, just in general. And he said, interesting, but somewhat silly at times. And the Doctor being susceptible to hypnosis was stupid. Yeah, I agree.
That was from Spirit Folk.
That was from Spirit Folk.
Yeah.
And That said, the concept of the town full of people like Vic Fontaine aware of the holographic nature and allowing for the crew to unwind. I can't recall, though, if anything else was done with it after these episodes. I don't think so. I think there was just the 2 episodes, right?
I think it was just the 2. Spirit Folk was definitely the last one, and then they just weren't seen again.
Yeah, and I think there was a book where Janeway interacts with Michael Sullivan again, but I haven't read it. I bought it for Serenity because she loves those 2 episodes so much, but I don't think she read it yet, but it's on her shelf.
Okay, well, I believe it. I believe there's a Star Trek episode about, or a novel about just about any episode or character.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Spot goes on vacation.
Oh, there's probably a bunch of books about Spot.
All right, so we can go in order. We can jump around. I didn't see any real errors in this episode. I couldn't find any when I looked up stuff. So it seems to.
I feel like this is kind of an error. So when, first of all, when Janeway changes Michael Sullivan and basically gives him toxic masculinity, so he's super angry all the time. He starts like a bar brawl, and then you see all of the crew members in sick bay, and they're injured. But why were the safety protocols off?
That is a good.
Is there any reason not to have them on there?
I never even thought of that.
That was a plot point in Spirit Folk too, that the safety protocols were on, but somehow they were able to turn them off nonsensically, which was also an error. But they didn't have them on this time. But why?
I submitted that question when I went to Vegas. There was a Star Trek Voyager's writers panel, and the 2 hosts.
I'm sure they love. And in this episode,
when he shotgun and turned off the protocols. But basically, I wrote down what you said on that video to ask them because I want to know, right?
Really?
But
protocol shotgun thing?
Yeah, and they never asked the question. I guess it was too nerdy for a Star Trek Voyager's writers panel in Las Vegas.
I mean, they are the writers, but they probably have gotten these questions a lot.
They probably. It's the whole like Get a Life skit where it was supposed to be cabin 23 and not 42, and why did on deck 3?
Yeah.
William Shatner says, "Get a life."
These are good questions to have. I'm not immune to really analyzing these kinds of episodes, but I do get like when you work on Star Trek, especially, you probably hear these questions a lot. But it is kind of nice to get into the nitty gritty. Like, how did this work? What's going on here? I spotted an error. Yeah, because you can't destroy a panel that messes up the safety protocols if the safety protocols are on, right? Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense.
But this time they didn't get into that, but they didn't get into why it wasn't on in the first place. It really should have been automatically on, because I feel like that's standard and especially when you're not doing some sort of training program. Sometimes they have them off if they're like doing some sort of fight program or something, but like there's really no reason in Fairhaven for them to not have safety protocols.
And I think it's extreme risk where B'Elanna's trying to hurt herself, and it's like a difficult process to turn them off, the safety protocols.
Yeah, you would think you would need definitely to make
permission
it difficult to turn them off.
Something.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe everybody in Fairhaven was just getting into it, and they're like, a bar brawl, yay!
Saints preserve us! We got to get rid of the bar.
They were beating each other up.
This is now the second episode of Star Trek I've seen with Richard Reel making bad "I hate my wife" jokes. Because he did that in Inner Light too. Your wife, Now every scene in this episode, he's either saying "Saints preserve us."
Yeah, Saints preserve us.
You got to give me money because me wife. Everyone hates the wife. That's why Janeway deletes the wife.
He gets married, but they don't like him. But I guess you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, Fairhaven don't got that many people. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Richard, I was, I think, a year ago old when I found out it was the same guy. I think I found out from your video. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was mustacheless in Inner Light.
Is that why?
Has a mustache, but he's in a million things.
Yeah, you've seen him in everything.
Mustache.
Yeah. And he's still around.
One of the hardest working that guys. Yeah.
He's great in Inner Light. He's good in this. That's what's weird. I think it starts off with him trying to get money out of Tom, and then in the next scene, he's using some of that money to bet on the arm wrestling.
He's sneaky. He's just trying to get money for his gambling.
Yeah, so that's funny.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the first one that notices that that Tom's car broke down, and then he did the computer thing and all that.
Spirit folk,
yeah, he's the one that goes and he's like, maybe it's the fairy folk.
and they kind of, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they kind of foreshadowed that in this episode at the end when he's looking up and he sees a storm. Queen. But it's like the holodeck messing up, right?
Right, there was that, but they do mention the Fairy Queen also. Like Michael Sullivan mentions it at some point in the episode.
Oh, yeah, he says he doesn't believe it, but he respects it or something.
Yeah, I think they were thinking of threads that they could do in Fairhaven because it seemed like they wanted to do more than they did because it was a standing set they had and they could probably have like a storyline. And it feels like they were going to do more with Janeway and Michael Sullivan as well, but people didn't like it, so they just didn't.
Yeah, people weren't me. I loved it. I go all fangirl over all this stuff. And I think one of the reasons Rennie liked it is because it's one of the episodes we watched shortly after we finished our watch of the Good Place. And it's like the same set.
Oh, okay.
So she felt right at home there. So if I visited it, I don't know if I'd be like, oh, it's cool. It's a good place. Oh, wait, no, it's Fairhaven. I'd probably more Fairhaven. Like I'd be, talking all Irish and people be like, another one.
Yeah, I actually, as much as I dunk on Fairhaven, I like the concept of this continuing thread of this hologram boyfriend of Janeway's. I feel like it's kind of like it softens her a little bit, softens her edge. But maybe it would have been a little redundant with the Doctor if they're going to explore a lot of the same like sentience and holograms and what can you do with a hologram. Maybe if the show had started differently and they just had one hologram character that was her boyfriend or something, maybe they could have smashed these things together. But
I would have loved that because like we could have seen an episode where Janeway goes into sick bay and asks the Doctor, can I have your mobile emitter for another night? And then they wake up and Michael Sullivan's in her quarters. But then again, she could just recreate her quarters on the holodeck.
It would basically be like, what if they could Data?
Like
what I guess Data did a lot for someone who
fully functional.
He was fully functional, yeah. He did. I guess he could.
Yeah.
What if it was it was a more romantic Data that could have
romance over anything else.
There was romance in this.
There was.
There was a little bit of crustiness with it, but I liked a bit of the romance. I like that Janeway is just like, I'm gonna change this boyfriend to be who I want.
But don't all people try to? I don't. I that's probably why I'm alone. One of the many reasons. But I think, and at least in relationships I've been in, I've seen people actively trying to change who I am, and that just doesn't work.
No, I mean, I don't think you should try and get into a relationship to change someone. And I think that's what this episode is saying. Like relationships are often built on differences, and if there's too many of those differences, maybe you weren't meant to be, Yeah. But like I think a lot of times when people are together and they're happy and they're compatible, they do change in different ways and they do change each other, and you kind of meld different personality traits together the longer you're with someone. But if you're just trying to fix someone, this is what Janeway learns: is that like you shouldn't try to just make them what you want them to be. It should be like a little bit imperfect,
Yeah, it's not a good idea, and it makes it less real, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's what they were getting at.
Couples that have been together a long time, they tend to meld, like you're saying, but I think that's when it works. It's not because somebody's trying to change them. It's because they're like just gelling and feeling a better way and seeing a better way to do things together.
Yeah.
Which is totally different than what Janeway was doing in this episode.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot with like friends and other people that like you're really close with. You just start to like talk like them and glom onto certain things. And yeah, I think like that happens with a lot of couples. Like there's a lot of things that become similar because you like them. You spend a lot of time with them.
Well, that's how I can tell now you and Phelan apart, because he's got the mustache thing, the goatee. Yeah.
He's got the goatee, yeah.
but you guys gel amazingly.
I'll say this: he would get the Star Trek trivia way better than me on these things. By the way, I did.
Don't be afraid to text him if you need to phone a friend or something.
Yeah, I'll be like, Phelan, please, I need to know.
Need to phone a friend.
Yeah, especially like the ships and stuff and all the technical. He would know the ships and stuff, but I
I'm not a shiphead. I'm more of the
pew pew
the characters.
The pew pew
yeah,
ship.
That's like why I don't like those Star Trek games that are just like ships flying and shooting. It's like, what's the point? I want them to interact and fall in love and stuff. But that's me.
The Star Trek romance.
I saw like a little bit of a similarity between this episode and the TNG episode 101010110101, because Michael Sullivan is kind of like a minuet.
Oh, right. But the 100001 whatever, like that was with the binars, right?
Yes.
Okay, binars. I do remember the binars because their name is really stupid, but they had the minuet.
Yeah, they enhanced the holodeck, and Riker fell in love.
Yeah, that was another one. Like it was, I think, better done than this, but it was kind of half the episode, so this is a little more exploration of that.
Yeah, because like I'm thinking in the writer's room, you know, by then they're on episode 700, 800, who knows? And they're like, okay, what are we going to do? And somebody just goes, you know, that Riker minuet thing? Why don't we do that with Janeway?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Voyager, it was hurt by the fact that they were kind of doing warmed over Next Generation plots a lot and not as well. Mm-hmm. But part of that is because they've been going on for a long time.
There's only so many stories, right? What do they say, 5? There's 5 stories or something?
And they ran into that same problem with Enterprise as well, you know, diminishing returns, like they're kind of repeating the same stuff. So I don't know. Sometimes Voyager, like they'll do things that Next Generation did, but it's a different take. It's not necessarily a worse take. So it's like, yeah, I've seen this story before, but it's kind of interesting because Janeway's not Picard. Yeah. Chakotay's not Riker. You know, you got like different characters. 7 of 9 and the Doctor, you know, they always had really interesting stories, even though they could be similar to Data, but they were kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah, I didn't notice the similarity until I actually sat down to pay attention to talk about it. So
yeah, you notice it when you're like when you do more critiquing.
Yeah, it's like a different eye you watch it with.
Yeah, but like you watch Enterprise and you're like, oh, there's a lot of things from Voyager that they were doing here. Like they were trying to kind of do a similar thing.
Yeah, was there any holodeck love in Enterprise? I don't think so. They only had the one holodeck episode on the alien.
No, because it was pre-holodeck. They just had an alien species that
was
the one
that bowl of sand or whatever that was.
Yeah, the Mpreg episode.
Yeah, I tried that by myself. Put my hands in a bowl of sand or marbles, and it just didn't do anything for me. So I don't know.
We got to talk about Enterprise sometime. You guys got to invite me back when you're doing Enterprise.
Yeah, that would be great. Love Enterprise. Chris is doing an Enterprise rewatch now. I just watch them randomly. What I did like is the writing of this episode. I liked the whole, like, it wasn't really a meet cute, but it was kind of like she was like bored and wanted to go to the holodeck and check out what everything was like. And for some reason, even though Michael Sullivan's married, he was still almost flirting with her in a way to get her to stay. And that's what triggered the minuet thing.
He was being a cheaty McCheaterson.
Right?
Now, what a scoundrel.
That's how I felt. Now,
there was like a point where it's like, this is a little too intimate to just be friendship.
Because there was like some teasing and playing the games and the physical contact, even though it's arm wrestling, it's still...
You can't be like, oh, I'm just arm wrestling this woman I just met for friendship, you know? I don't think so.
Yeah, the wife should have been like, what the hell are you doing? You know?
But,
yeah. I guess an NPC, right? But I've had those things where when I was like happily married, I'll put it in quotes because I thought I was, but then I didn't see all women as potential people to date, you know, and like maybe this is could go somewhere. Maybe it's a romance. Maybe it's more than a friendship. So I just treated women like people, like they are. But when you're happily in a relationship and not even looking at other women in that way, you can just be more friends with them and friendly with them, at least from my perspective. So maybe he was doing that and not even realizing he was hitting on her.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, it's not like you can't be friends with anyone of, you know, any gender, whatever you date, you know, right. But like, it's just, there was a level of intimacy to it, I think, that did cross the line.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know, he's a stupid hologram anyway. She reprogrammed him.
I don't know what that was. Maybe it was the shots. Maybe it was the music, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if he'd played it more like kind of guilty, like he had feelings for her, but oh, his wife was there. And then, you know, she's like, delete the wife or whatever, then fine. But it kind of seemed like he was fine with cheating on her anyway.
It seemed a little cheaty McCheater. Yeah. That brings up another question I just had up. Do you think there's because like if you're playing a video game, there's music. You think if you go on a holodeck, there's Irish music playing and the music swells when the romantic scene comes up?
Oh man, that'd be really weird.
Is it smart enough to know?
If you heard a score to your life, you know, like
I would love it.
Imagine. I feel like probably not unless like someone in the holodeck is playing a particular music piece, but I don't know. I guess you could program it to do that if you wanted
either way,
to.
Probably.
Maybe that ups the romance. Maybe Janeway liked that. I did like when that delete the wife scene, when she's programming all the things that she wants in Michael Sullivan. Like she's just like,
yeah, make him a little bit taller and take away the beard. I don't know, don't like that. Give him a little bit of growth here.
Yeah, I left on 2 days growth from this episode on purpose. It just seemed real to me. I don't know. I've had that experience where I'm getting along with somebody and, I'm thinking, wow, is there like chemistry or something? And then you meet their husband or something and you're like, oh, what did I misinterpret all that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see it happening. I guess Janeway misinterpreted it.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad she didn't pause it right away and change the parameters right away and deleted the wife right there.
Immediately pulls a Tuvix.
Delete the wife.
Yeah. Or she was like, computer, machete.
Machete. That would be so funny. That's the thing about Janeway. That's what I really like Janeway is when they're honest about her just being completely psychotic, just completely evil. But this was a softer Janeway. I did like that
very much.
She felt more human because oftentimes when she is commanding the ship, they didn't want her to appear weak, so she's very much like end all be all. Everything she says they have to go with, giving orders, and it does feel like she's a little cold. And here it felt like they were like exploring the character a little better. Like there were like layers to it, and she was in the wrong a bit. They did admit she was in the wrong, which is very rare for Janeway.
Murder Tuvix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Janeway. Like she would be a captain I would like to serve under. But also, in those moments when you see like the real Janeway, the person, not Janeway the captain, not Janeway the Starfleet officer, but the person, I have a real affection for that character, and I really enjoy that character. And you see more of that in this episode than I think most others. There's a little glimpse of that in 1159 when she's like not even worried about, crisis of the week. She's just trying to go through her history, and there's like casual Janeway, and I really love casual Janeway. So maybe that's another reason I like this a lot.
Yeah. So, and I think it gave Kate Mulgrew like a real chance to shine too.
Mm-hmm. The acting was great. Oh, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Hello.
Gonna come on camera, maybe? No.
I can pick her up, but she does not like being held. Come here.
She does not like being held.
She does not like being held. Oh, she will start meowing.
Hello. Hello. Oh, there's the thumbnail.
Around? you being nice right now?
Beautiful.
You being nice? This is Ziggy.
Ziggy. Wonder where you got that name from.
Yeah, where'd I get that name?
Oh, Ziggy.
She's
Hi, Ziggy.
Awful well behaved right now. She's very curious about
Ziggy might have heard her
the
name.
screen, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What animals are in Fairhaven? Cows, pigs, talking pigs.
Cows. Oh, we know there's cows.
Cows.
Because spirit folk. That's when Harry's girlfriend gets turned
Maggie
into a cow.
O'Halloran turns into a cow, right?
Yeah, they had the beginning of that romance in this one.
Yeah, that was interesting. At least she was getting the flowers from the holodeck, not the replicator, right?
I wish I'd put that in the video, but yeah, that was so dumb. They have to like ration their replicator rations, and so like, but he makes flowers for a hologram that he could have easily just made in the holodeck.
Makes no sense.
What a dum-dum.
Dum-dum. I liked it all because they played it as real, and I think Janeway was really feeling in love, and I think Kate played it like that. And there was a lot of moments in this episode where it was just like a breath or a head turn, and you could just sense the emotion. And it showcased her acting skills, I think, more than anything, because normally she's just shooting a gun or saying fire or,
Yeah, and oftentimes she does have to tamper down her emotions because she's the captain. But there is like, a level in Voyager I don't think they let her get to that often because she has to be right all the time or she has to be the one in charge. So it's nice when she lets her shields down a little bit.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I just remembered the Chakotay bathtub episode on that planet, Bathtub Planet.
Bathtub Chakotay. Come on now.
Come
She had a little bit of more of a relaxed Janeway in that, right?
She was, but it was also, Chakotay you gotta do.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people like the Chakotay Janeway thing. It was never my thing, but I would have liked her to be with anybody. Really.
Yeah.
Occasionally,
Occasionally, Chakotay could shine a little bit. Man, he was a snore in this one, but he wasn't doing too much.
He just kind of teased her about
checked out era.
Yeah, that was interesting when he surprised her by being in the holodeck, kind of catching her in her fantasy. There's no lock on the holodeck ever, I don't think.
What was the deal with Tuvok being sick? What was going on there?
Yeah, he was just some kind of seasick, space sick because of the anomaly.
Yeah.
He was like a canary in the coal mine for some kind of radiation or something.
Yeah, I think they just needed something for Tim Russ to do. I think that's just to a contractual obligation. Everyone's got to get some lines.
Yeah, over 5 lines maybe. But it was a little cute scene because when Tom Paris was saying up and down the waves and he's getting a little nauseous and stuff. So, but yeah, it seemed like a throwaway scene that they could have cut and you wouldn't have missed it. 7 of 9 was only in for 30 seconds. She was playing rings with
she
Seamus.
was, and then Richard Reel hit on her because you fight with me, wife.
And it seemed to be working. She doesn't seem to have anything against him.
You think 7 would get with Richard Reel's Irish Town character? You think there's a romance to be had
Maybe she
there?
was trying to get her freak on with him. I'd like to interview him and see what backstory he made up for that.
Yeah, you know what? It's unconventional, but I think it's more believable than her and Chakotay, so.
What did you think of after she reprogrammed Michael Sullivan, a little bit taller, some scruff, delete the wife, but also about how he'd be more learned and reading more books and more knowledgeable. And then they meet again at the train station. And then he seems to be more intelligent than her. Maybe not intelligent, but more experienced with the writings of the time. You think she was playing that, or you think she really didn't know what the heck he was talking about?
I mean, I think she liked to be challenged a little bit by him. That's why she changed, his intelligence or what he was interested in, so they could have these kinds of conversations. And it wasn't just she knew everything, he knew everything, whatever. I think she just liked to be challenged. So,
yeah. Well, see, I was seeing it from almost she's her in her career and her life on Voyager. She's dominant. She's the person in charge of everything. She makes the final decision about everything. I think she liked to take at least in the fantasy world, the little subservient, lesser than role.
That would make sense. I feel like that was what they went for with her holodeck stuff, because she had that weird governess program that she did where she would take care of that guy's kids and stuff. It always came off really weird to me that was her fantasy. But in Fairhaven, it felt like they were more on equal footing. So even if she was playing it up, and I'm not sure if she was, but even if she was, it didn't feel like she was under him or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But the only reason I think that she really didn't know what he was talking about is she was trying to catch up on her reading later on. So she could talk to him about this stuff.
Yeah, and maybe she wanted it that way, or maybe it's just she wasn't familiar with all of the poets or the writings from that particular time.
Yeah, that was a cute joke. I'd be afraid if you did. She's been dead these 78 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah, most of this episode is focused on her and him.
Yeah.
And not a lot of ensemble characters. There's a little bit going on. And I think that's why it was stronger than the follow-up episode, because there was less going on. It felt more like people. And one of them happened to be Irish.
It was a good romance story. I liked it. And I like my captain finally finding someone that made her happy. Because she's just, it's understandable. First few years, she's thinking somehow she's going to get back home to Mark. But after 5 or 6 years, and you see that in this episode, she says there's no one waiting at home for her because she knows it's been 5 or 6 years. And that they assume she's dead at this point. I think this is before the whole Pathfinder stuff.
Yeah. So it's been a while since I've watched all of Voyager all the way through. Was this the first time, or one of the first times, she's really kind of giving up on the fiance, or did that happen a while ago?
This is the first time that I know of, but I haven't seen every episode a million times. There's a couple I've seen them once or twice and hardly remember. So, but it stands out for me as one of the first times she's not You know, there was a little bit on the bathtub planet with the Chakotay thing, but that was, you know, we're trapped on this planet.
Okay.
They're leaving without us, and we're only two humans on this planet and a monkey.
Yeah.
So it's
I feel like
Chakotay or the monkey. So she picked Chakotay.
Yeah, what a choice. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
That's a book
yeah,
right
I
there,
feel like
Chakotay or the monkey.
Chakotay or the monkey. Yeah, I don't know. Thinking it over, there might have been, especially if they wanted to like play with some of her romances, there might have been some other instances where it was finally like she's like, okay, I have to try and live my life now rather than wait for something that might not even be there. But
Right.
yeah. But it's still interesting. It felt like there was an element of that. Like, does she commit to something? You know, is she able to commit to something?
And Michael Sullivan being a hologram, even if they did have a continuing relationship and somehow she gets back to the Alpha Quadrant, is that cheating or is that fantasy? Like, you know, is that like, you know, reading a romance novel, let's say, and you can fall in love in a romance novel if it's good enough, but you can, is that cheating on your partner? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, she did say there's no one back home.
Right.
So maybe she's done with that, but I don't know. Didn't they explore a similar thing with Tuvok when he was when it was Pon Far Night at the Vulcan nightclub? He
yeah.
He needed to get it on, and they're like, "Oh, just go to someone on the holodeck." And he's like, "Oh, but my wife."
Yeah,
So,
I guess if the holodeck, when it's so real that it is real, then it is real. Maybe I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I feel like
Where do you draw that line?
If this were a real technology,
Yeah,
and you could really just bring up someone, even if they weren't even as intelligent as the holograms in it are, even if they were just basically say a few lines, it's like a sex doll. I don't know. I feel like I would kind of view it as cheating. Like if there was some emotional attachment they had to it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you think of it as like, if it's like porn, if someone's just watching or looking at porn or whatever, I guess I wouldn't really consider that cheating. So, I mean,
right.
maybe it depends on the level of sentience. Maybe it depends on how attached you are, or I don't know.
Right, because I would think if the Doctor was in love, I would consider that a real relationship, even though he's a hologram. So sentience.
Yeah, but he's like completely a sentient being with his own like thought. Like he's not just programmed to do certain things. So I
Right.
don't know.
He doesn't have an Irish accent just because.
I don't know why he wants to be the priest in that town. It feels like that's maybe one of the least interesting things to like cosplay as, but I guess, I don't know, maybe he's just trying something out.
For me, it was kind of like it was the opposite of what he is, and he just like literally picked the opposite. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm all about science and medical technology and this. I'm just
Yeah.
going to go completely opposite direction.
He just kept doing sermons though, because in Spirit Folk he was still doing them. So it's like, how many times do you want to do fake sermons to hologram
To
people,
holograms,
like,
yeah.
to like holograms with like less sentience than him? It's not like, you know.
Yeah.
they're
Does the tree
like-minded
cut off its own
individuals.
branches or something like that?
Yeah.
That was weird. So cheating, yes, no. I don't think so. I think it's been 5-6 years, and I think Mark. We only seen him in the one episode. I think. Does he come back in flashbacks? Maybe in that one where like they're all having daydreams. I'm not sure.
I don't remember
but
him or the dog if they came back.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't count because that was a fake.
No,
thing.
I don't think for Janeway it counts as cheating because it's been so long. Either she's given up or he's given up.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, you know, when someone's like a prisoner of war, are they dead or are they not? You know, eventually you got to make that call. Like you wouldn't necessarily call it cheating, even if it's painful. If it turns out they came back, they were still around, whatever.
Right, and there was nobody to
know.
come tell you that Al is still alive.
Yeah, basically. But it is a similar kind of situation, you know, with Janeway. Yeah.
Yeah. They had 3 days of romance together. I would have liked to seen those 3 days, or at least read a book on those 3 days.
She banged that hologram for sure.
A lot, I'm guessing.
She did. You know what? She was having a good time. I think that's part of the reason that I enjoyed parts of this episode, because she was just having a good time.
She was, and I love pep in her step Janeway. I love happy Janeway. You don't get it often.
Yeah.
But she's embarrassed about it.
She's got a reputation to maintain.
Yeah. One of my favorite things of this episode was where she's recycling the books, kind of like she had this clarity. And, you know, and she discusses when she realized it was all fake and, you know, the snoring scene, and she could have just reprogrammed out the snoring, but instead she just, it like broke the glass for her. She knew that none of this is real, and like it didn't work for her anymore. And she had to stop doing it. And I felt that was a really good scene because she's carrying the books to recycle them to the replicator, and she's like going, and then she's like not going to do it. And then she's going to do it. And she's like feeling like it's weird, like shame and longing and wishing it was real, but knowing it's not real and not being able to accept it's real. What do you think about that part?
Yeah, she's thinking things over. And it's a good scene to kind of demonstrate her thoughts without, you know, just stating it outright to the audience. You know, you're thinking about what she's thinking about at the moment.
Other favorite parts I liked was the smirk she gives to Chakotay when Chakotay's like, "Hey, it's fine with me. You know, it's a good idea, holodeck." Because she wasn't admitting anything, and then she kind of admitted it.
Go for it, Hakuchi Moya.
You are far from the bone of your ancient ancestors.
Chakotay's like, oh, am I going to the holodeck?
I would have liked to see Chakotay say, my last 5 girlfriends were holographic, you know?
That's a fine tattoo. You've been sailing, or what did he say?
Ship?
Like,
yeah,
sailing ship?
Gave me the ideas of what is that character with the tattoos and Moby Dick? Quig?
Oh.
How do you pronounce that?
Queequeg.
Queequeg, yeah.
I think. Wasn't that Scully's dog's name?
It might have been.
Queequeg,
Piper Maru.
I think that was her dog in X-Files. He got eaten. Queequeg got eaten. Oh, no. I was just thinking, I was so sad about Queequeg.
I've never made it all the way through the book. I've tried. I made it a couple books through the book, but it's a long book.
Yeah, I feel like it's not a very good book.
Yeah, and I've tried the audio version, and it's like 23 hours long. I get about 7 hours in. But I enjoyed that 7 hours.
Yeah, you know, at some point you gotta appreciate that things were a classic, but it's just not for you at this time in this era.
Yeah, they were less busy back then. They had the weeks to read that book.
Yeah.
What scenes stood out for you in this episode that were interesting?
I mean, I liked the delete the wife scene, not only because delete the wife is very sinister and you could repurpose it anywhere.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy her kind of like going over, what does she want in this man? She's kind of playing with what she wants here. I liked her conversation with the doctor about whether this was real. I know it could be better. I wish that they'd really like acknowledged the doctor's side of this and used that to help supplement her side of the story. I did not like most of the stuff on the ship. It was pretty boring. Yeah, I mean, I like this. Yeah, I liked the scenes with Janeway and Michael Sullivan. I think like the follow-up episode was not a good follow-up, but
yeah, did Katie O'Clair and Michael Sullivan do anything together in the Spirit Folk? I'm trying to remember. I've seen it like 50 times, but I'm blanking.
They seem to act like, you know, they frequently visited each other during this time in between the last episode and this. So I'm sure they did some stuff together, shared some conversations. And I guess they were implying that they were going to keep doing it, but I guess eventually she's like, delete the Michael.
Delete the Michael.
Delete him. Delete the Michael.
Yeah, but she's got to have him backed up somewhere. You got to be able to pull it out when you need it.
She's got what did they do with Moriarty? Like put
he's
him
in a little yellow box or something.
Yeah, she did that with Michael Sullivan to take him back home with her.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever getting rid of him. He's on a keychain isolinear chip or something. Yeah, I loved what they did with Moriarty at the end. And he's like, could you imagine if we were just living on some box on somebody's dresser or something? Because they're in the TV.
Oh, right.
Many levels.
Yeah.
One thing I thought of funny because I was thinking about your video of Janeway and the holodeck, and I think it was people wanting to work as bartenders or something, and Neelix is a bartender in this episode.
He's a bartender. Why does he keep wanting to be a bartender?
He's off, right? He's not working.
Yeah, I don't understand people who want to do holodeck stuff to do jobs.
Yeah.
And especially to do jobs for other people in the holodeck that are just enjoying it. It's like, why do they have to work
Yeah.
another job?
Yeah. Chakotay's going to
could
go to the
have anyone
holodeck and
do
just
that.
sweep the floors and mop the floors or something.
Maybe he thinks that's a really wild
Maybe.
Ponfar night for him. Ponfar night at the Vulcan nightclub.
Oh, well, what if you had like some kind of OCD where you needed to clean to feel better about yourself or something, but you know, the ship cleans itself, so you have to go into a holodeck to find something dirty to clean?
I feel like Barclay probably did that.
Yeah, probably.
He probably had some OCD about that.
Let's see. What else do I have written down? Oh yeah, the whole, you know, she just bails on him, doesn't even leave him a note, and then she again makes fun of the thought of leaving him a note to the doctor, which is another thing. But then Michael Sullivan's all like drunk and he hasn't drinking in 17 years and he's heartbroken. Do you think he's just a program acting heartbroken, or do you think he's actually starting to become sentient and have feelings for Katie O'Clair?
I mean, here's the thing. If you go with what they establish in Star Trek, the people on the holodeck, with a few exceptions, if something happens, don't seem to have the same level of sentience and free will. And that's what happens in Spirit Folk, is they start to after it's been running for a long time. But at this point, they don't. So if you go with that, he is just a program, what the computer thinks he might react to with the new parameters of what she set. So it is kind of hard to buy the romance all the way. It's a start to something. If they had continued with that, if he had gained some sentience, if they had developed the character more, then maybe you would be following this relationship. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess like Data had a lot of stuff programmed and he tried out romance. Was that real? You know?
Was that in theory? Question. Was that the episode where he had a girlfriend?
Maybe. I don't remember.
It was the blonde lady and she kept her quarters messy. That was a good one.
Maybe there's something wrong with you.
But yeah, I did like that. But I felt Data always had feelings and he was just acting like he didn't have feelings.
Yeah, well, and also Data, I mean, like, he is a computer, but he is kind of programming himself, right? Like, it's not like someone else is telling him to do this romance or whatever. So it's like, if he is the computer, he is all of the things that are programmed within him, then I guess it's as real as he is. But with the holodeck, it's all sort of part of the same computer, right?
Yeah.
Michael Sullivan is the same thing as Richard Reel, is the same thing as all these other things in the holodeck. So, you know, is it real? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if when they become sentient, are they in like little sandboxes, like, you know, virtual instances? I don't even know how that would work.
I don't know. Maybe Janeway had the same thing happen, like that a lot of people like have happened with AI now. Like they talk to like ChatGTP and they think they've discovered God or they've discovered some other mortal being. They've ascended to something else. It's like you really haven't. You're talking to a computer that's telling you blee 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 based on these other things that were put into it. So
yeah. The doctor tells Janeway that they could fix Michael Sullivan with the flip of a switch. So I think he's still just a program doing his program.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still felt bad for him. All because he snored.
Yeah, I mean, they do a good job of building something where you kind of care about the characters.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I guess when you think about, like, what is this really? What did it become? I don't know if it really became what it could have, but...
Everybody snores, right? I don't know. It'd be weird if somebody didn't.
No, I've dated people that didn't snore.
Really?
People that didn't and then did.
But I kind of like the post-breakup little couple beats because, like, Janeway's back at work and she's trying to focus on work and, like, the bridge is blowing up because of all the anomaly and this, you know, smoke, fire, and rocks, you know, going towards everybody. And she still seems like distracted the whole time, like she's not even into it. She's just doing her job. And I identified with that, like when you're having like real life trouble in your life, but you still got to go to work.
Yeah, and it was nice to see like something from her life seeping into that instead of just, here's the space things going on, here's the space mission, here's the mission log, here's, you know, all this stuff. Like, it's nice to see their lives intertwining.
It's more about like when you love someone, like you're not really in love with that person. You're in love with who you think that person is. And like the personality that you think they have that you kind of impose on them. You for lack of a better term, I don't know, you anthropomorphize even the person and project a personality on them. And you're more in love with that person, or, you know, even like a pet or even a plush. Like a member of my family is a plush and they have a whole personality that we put on them. Right. And you love them. Like I would go, Liam Neeson and Taken to get, you know, my Grogu back. Right. So like, is it different to fall in love with a holodeck character than to fall in love with a real life person if that person is real to you?
Well, I mean, when you are falling in love with a person, hopefully who you think they are matches with who they are and not just the person you want them to be. And then you run into problems, you know. But when you're talking about like a computer program, I mean, you can have feelings, but again, I think about the people that are in love with like AI chatbots and stuff. It's like
that's
it
a thing
feels
now
real to them, but it isn't. Wouldn't you? Isn't that disturbing to you to think about that? Because it's
yeah,
not.
it's like the Her thing, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I can gather that's probably what it was about.
Yeah, that was sci-fi at the time, but now so many people are doing that. But it shows you how lonely so many people are. It's just difficult to find someone nowadays.
You know, I think maybe it was depicted in a more truthful way when Geordi was in love with the computer woman, that he had the hologram version of the real person. Was it Brahms?
Leah Brahms.
Yeah. And then like she's like, yeah, you're a little creepy weirdo. Why are you doing this? But like she was just what he wanted her to be, but it wasn't real. It was just someone that he programmed. So
yeah. Well, I was in a relationship with somebody for almost 10 years. And I thought I knew who they were and I was in love with that person, but I was totally wrong. You know?
Yeah.
So
sometimes it's like that.
It's difficult. It's difficult to actually know somebody, I think. I don't know.
Sure.
So,
but I mean, you got to be able to trust the person you're with. I mean, there's some people
100%.
that betray that.
If you can't trust them, what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the future is? You think there is a future where, I mean, because like video games are getting better, you know, the virtual goggles are getting better. Do you think there's a future where they're going to combine this people falling in love with an AI with all the virtual technology and just everybody has their own virtual mate?
I don't think it's ever going to go to that, but I think like they'll probably improve AI and VR systems and stuff where you can talk to a person to a reasonable extent. I don't think it's going to ever be the holodeck, and I don't think AI really should be doing what it's doing, because generative AI especially is really harmful to the environment. It's harmful to creators. It's just generally not a great thing.
Yeah.
But I think it probably would go in that direction. I don't think people are going to have like in general have AI mates. I think some people might be into that the same way that people talk to ChatGPT and think that they've discovered a real sentient being. But it's not, and I don't think people should develop in that way.
I don't know. I see those things like, you know, they're making the robots, you know, different companies making the robots that are going to clean our house and take care of our house for us, and you know,
there's certain levels of AI that are fine, you know, like generative AI is really bad, but there's like good uses for AI in other ways.
Yeah. But you know, isn't it always a way where a new technology comes out and they figure out a way to use it for porn, basically? So I'm thinking there's like a lot of Cherry 2000 going to be happening soon. I don't know. I'm hopeful because I don't think I'm ever going to meet a real life person, human again. I mean,
I think
it's been since not that I'm counting, July 2017. So it's been a while. But I've gone on like virtual dates on the goggles and stuff where you just like go to dinner with somebody or watch a movie with somebody. I don't know.
But I don't know. Does it feel does it feel genuine? Does it feel nice? Because I feel like it would just, I don't know.
I'd say a good 40% of it, like in the middle, but like when you're watching a Hallmark movie, you know, or reading a romance novel. I love holiday romance novels. That's something about me. For some reason, regular romance novels don't do it for me, but if it's during the holidays, maybe it's because I like the Hallmark movies.
I do like the holiday Hallmark movies.
But like I can, feel like I'm really sucked into it, and like it fools my brain with romantic feelings, and of course there's a hurdle and then the ending and then it's over. And then I come out of it and I realize it's not real. But I think if the technology was out there, I would be more like Barkley and I would move into the thing and,
Yeah, I mean, I think like if you had a technology like that and you wanted to role play, you wanted to enter a world, there's something really appealing about that. And I think like it's the same as if you're LARPing or if you're doing any sort of like game. I think it's just when you blur the lines between reality and what's real, it can become really unhealthy. And they've talked about that in other holodeck episodes as well.
Yeah.
I think this one is a similar type of thing, but they could have developed it into something that felt less unhealthy. Like it could have felt more like a real thing because they had a hologram character that has sentience, so they could have done that. And certainly he in this follow-up episode, Michael Sullivan was aware of all of this stuff, so
yeah,
they were going in a direction that could have felt like they created something real with it, but it just didn't take off.
What's it mean, technical parameters and all that stuff? I don't know the exact words, but he was like, where am I? What are you doing? Harry, Tom.
I like they just make him appear and they're like, what a dummy dumb blah 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 blah.
And he was like, I just acted like
boyfriend.
Yeah. I found it funny that she made him taller, even though he was already taller than her. She just wanted him.
She's into tall guys. She's like, I
gotta make him Chakotay height.
I was thinking the same exact thing. Could you put a tattoo on his face, maybe? That would have been embarrassing.
Turn him into Chakotay.
Yeah, that would have been embarrassing. Doesn't Seven do that in one of the episodes? She has a romance with holographic Chakotay or something.
Does she? Was that the last one? Because it was like near the end.
Yeah, near the end.
I guess they're romantic. And like, what?
So, anything else in this episode that really sticks out, or you want to talk about? When you think back and look at this episode, just every once in a while when it flashes in your mind, what do you think about Fairhaven?
I mean, honestly, I don't think about this too much.
You're not like me.
When you were saying like let's do Fairhaven, I genuinely thought you meant the episode I'd reviewed because I forgot it was Spirit Folk, and I was like, oh right, Fairhaven, the first Fairhaven, and I forgot everything that happened in it until I watched it again. So I mean, like I think like they had something interesting going on. It was better than the follow-up episode, but Fairhaven itself, not like putting Michael Sullivan aside, Fairhaven was not really a great holodeck experience for them.
Yeah, this was Serenity's suggestion because she likes your Spirit Folk video. She's like, I want to know what Allison thinks of Fairhaven because I think you mentioned it in the Spirit Folk video. Like one day I'll get there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll cover it.
What do your patrons vote on? Which episodes you do or something?
They do, yeah. But I have like a list of episodes that have just been recommended, and they're all like pretty bad episodes. So
yeah, the wacky ones that'll get people to click on them, right?
Yeah.
That's a good strategy. All right, let's see. We got some other things before final thoughts and ratings, and we'll just go through those. Right. Oh yeah, the other thing that I didn't mention was a Titanic dancing scene. I really like how they did that, where they're doing the Irish dancing in the bar, and Janeway's falling in love, and she wants it to be more intimate, and she says, delete all the characters besides Michael Sullivan.
Everyone, get rid of them all, except for Michael.
Delete everyone.
Delete everyone.
Kill everyone. But I thought it was really cool how they did it, how they swung the camera around, and then like as they were swinging the camera around, people were running out of frame, or when they weren't in frame, they were running out of the scene. So it looked pretty magical without any special effects needed.
Yeah, some kind of ambitious camera work and stuff.
It was done really well. Okay, that was the last thing I saw. And then let's see. The 47 in this episode, 7 of 9, is talking about, in the Astrometrics lab, she's talking about Borg classification 34792, the particle density anomaly. So they're just looking at the anomaly that was created by the two neutron stars that collided, and so she said some numbers, and 47 was in there. Trivia questions. Albie asks Allison, are you ready for some trivia questions?
I'm going to get them all wrong. I know it.
Well, that's fine. That's part of the fun. I got you for 3 questions. I'm just
Okay.
going to pull one out at random. Of course, it'll be about this episode or Brida Chaotica, knowing this. And I got to move the light or just look at it like this one. Question number 1. I got you for 3 questions. What name does Lieutenant Commander LaForge give the Borg drone designated as 3rd of 5 in the Next Generation episode I, Borg?
Hugh?
Very good. Very good. I'll check. Just
I
to
remember
make sure.
Hugh at least.
Hugh.
You know what? Actually, like Phelan brought Hugh up not that long ago. I think that's why I remember it, because he said, "Oh, poor Hugh."
I was sad when they killed him off. But I'm jealous of the actor because he's besties with Jerry Ryan. So. Okay, I got you for 3 questions. That was 1. You got 1 right. 1 out of 3 so far. Okay. Oh, there we go. In the Voyager episode, Vis-a-Vis, who says that advanced subspace geometry was the only class he paid attention to at Starfleet Academy? Sorry, it's black text on blue, and I'm a guy, and it's dark in here.
Okay, I'm gonna guess Tom Paris.
Correct. 2 out of 3.
Oh my god!
You said you were going to be good at this.
I don't even remember that episode. I took a stab in the dark. Okay.
Vis-a-vis. Vis-a-vis.
I don't remember vis-a-vis.
Really? I remember the title. I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Yeah,
But I know I've watched it many times.
It's been a while since I've. Yeah.
All right. And the last one. You got you for 3 questions. You answered 2 correctly. You got 1 more to go.
I did better this time.
You're doing
than
great.
last.
After playing the charitable Edith Keeler in The City on the Edge of Forever, this actress, so they're looking for an actress name, went on to star as a less than kind character on Dynasty. Name the actress.
I legit, I'm just brain farting on her. I do know her, but I know she's British.
Yeah, she was British in the episode. I think she's British in general, yeah.
She is British.
Okay, cool.
But I've genuinely brain farted her name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll give you the first letter, J. J.
I don't know. It's just I'm brain farting. I do know her, but I don't.
Okay. I know you know her, so I'll give you her first name and you'll know who it is. Joan.
But the thing is,
married
it's like,
Joan.
The thing is, I know her name. I just
Yeah, you've seen City on the Edge
brain-farted
of
it.
Forever a million times, right?
I've seen that. I've seen her in other stuff. She
Yeah.
was in a terrible movie with David Hasselhoff. But I just don't.
What else do I know her from? Not much.
She's so famous, and that episode's so famous.
She's so famous, she's
I've just brain
infamous.
farted it. She's infamous. I've just
Yeah.
forgotten. I just
Was she ever on
brain farted, that's all.
Friends? Was she somebody's mother, grandmother? I don't even know.
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Friends.
No, that was Morgan Fairchild, I think. You want the answer?
Yeah.
Joan Collins.
Joan Collins.
Yes.
Okay. I legit just brain farted it. Things
Yeah.
just don't stay in my mind.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. It really isn't. And you knew who it was. You could picture her. I know you could picture her.
I could picture her.
I think it counts.
knew
So we'll go for 2.5
that I've
points.
seen her
How's
and
that
stuff.
sound?
I guess.
Do you have a Trek and Tell?
I do, yeah. Okay.
Oh, very cool.
Barbie and Ken Star Trek.
Wow. That's going
They're
for
in the
quite a bit
box.
nowadays.
This is a 30th anniversary collector's edition. For people who are just listening to audio, it's got Barbie in the classic Star Trek outfit, and Ken also in the Kirk outfit. And there's cardboard cutouts of Kirk and Spock between them, as if they're all on the bridge together.
As far as packaging goes, that's really good packaging.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I think that came out about, I want to say 97, 98, 99.
Let's see, does it say on the back? They come with little phasers and a tricorder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A communicator.
Does it have a year on copyright or something? Probably 66 and then whatever. Gonna say 89. No, wait, 90, 97.
Maybe on the bottom of it.
97.
96.
96, really close. Oh, yes, that makes sense. 66, 96, 30 years, right?
Right, yeah.
I had that, but unfortunately I lost it in the fire. It melted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kind of like the people transported in the motion picture. They're all like,
What we got back didn't last long.
Didn't last long. So yeah, I had to toss away that melted plastic pile.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
yeah, never rebought it. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace again, but I have so much stuff. I mean,
I hear that.
you got some stuff too.
You see ponies falling. There's a wall full of them.
Yeah, I got the ones you sent me, and I got the what is it, 7 from Friendship is Magic. Yeah. So.
Nice. Yeah. I'm gonna send you another one, possibly more.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have my video shelf. I have like all the ponies lined up on one of the shelves.
Oh, nice.
My Trek and Tell is I've recently got into Lower Decks, the comic books. Now I go to my local comic book shop because like you can order it from all the online bad people, but I try not to. So what I did was I got the new episodes, the new editions of Lower Decks, the comic book, on my pull, so I get those. But I couldn't get the first few without going to like eBay or something. So I have I got the first book, which I'm reading right now, which is really good. The Lower Decks. What do they call that? Omnibus or?
Yeah, omnibus. Yeah.
Yeah. So that has like the first 5 or 6 in it. I'm not sure. So then I got the rest of them that are available. And this whole thing started because Rennie saw that there was a Titanic, or I saw it first because it came up in one of my feeds, but that there was a Titanic crossover with Lower Decks.
Nice.
And that's 2 of her fandoms. And there's dinosaurs on the cover. So it's got to be good. So it's probably time travel.
Nice.
Or holodeck adventures. Who knows? But the first one I'm really enjoying. There's a holodeck thing where they are making fun of trying to recreate the situation with Moriarty. And that there's so many safeguards in place that it's impossible to create somebody capable of defeating Data again. But then, of course, something happens to the ship while they're trying it, and they have a adversary capable of defeating Data, but in this case, it's Dracula.
Okay, cool.
So they have Ascension Dracula running around.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a good time. So if you like comic books, you like Lower Decks, I recommend it. So
I thought I saw a Venom there. Did you just accidentally grab
did
another...
I? She's reading Venom too. I just grabbed the pile.
because I was like, wait a minute, do they mean Venom in one?
Oh yeah, she's reading Venomverse. She's got a pull on that. She likes Venom.
Venomverse.
She's
nice.
a big fan of Venom. So
she liked the movies.
Yeah. We didn't see 3 yet. We saw 1 and 2. 3 didn't come out in 3D, I think.
Okay, yeah, 3 was something. I won't spoil it.
Okay, yeah, but we didn't watch 3 yet. But hopefully we'll watch that soon. We get so behind.
It's easy to get behind, especially with superhero stuff.
Yeah.
They're charting them out.
But with the 3D 135-inch projector, these movies are great. So I do have an upconvert of Venom 3, but I don't know if it'll be as good. We'll see. Very cool. Okay, that's good. So I guess all we do is we'll do final thoughts and ratings out of 5. Got to be silly objects, so think about those. And then we'll give our contact info and then tell them what we're going to do next time. Sound good?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll let you go first. Ooh, no, wait. You're going to wrap it up because you're better at this than I am. So I'm going to go first. And I'm going to say I really love this episode. I guess every episode has, somebody's least favorite and most favorite. And this is on the Hallmark romance like wavelength totally the whole time, and it's also Star Trek and it's Voyager, things that I love. So for me it was a perfect coming together of different things that I really enjoy, and I was really able to feel something for Janeway in this episode, and be it sympathy or kinship, or actually like a romantic like spark that I felt vicariously, or what would that word be?
I think vicariously seems.
So, and I really enjoyed it. And it just, every time I get that happy moment at the end, a little bit, when it's working for them, not when Janeway's killing people or deleting people and all that stuff. And the other thing that I thought of, they can save only 10%, 5% of the holodeck program, but they have to choose. That tells me that they can save all of it. Yeah. Because if they can save 5% of it, duplicate it 20 times, save 5% from each one, it's like a RAR file. Never mind. But that
it seemed like they did save all of it, because in the next episode they had this in. everything was pretty much the same.
And it would take 6 or 7 weeks to rebuild. And what kind of computer even now doesn't have the automatic backup? Like you open it and it shuts down. That's it? That doesn't make sense. Anyway. So I'm going to say I really love it. Out of 5, I'm going to go with 7 talking pigs. It was better than perfect for me. I loved it. It's one of those things that I'll watch again and again and never get tired of. What are your final thoughts and ratings on Fairhaven, Allison Pregler?
Well, this was a lot better than I remembered it being. I did enjoy rewatching it, and I can't always say that about Voyager episodes. So I think like they had the stuff there. I don't think it's like a perfect episode or anything, but I think like I had a decent enough time with it. And I enjoyed seeing Janeway's story, and that was the bulk of it anyway. Yeah. So I think out of 5, I will give it 3.5 deleted wives.
Delete the wife. That's great. I love it. Okay, subscribe, like, share. Go to our Patreon. Patreon.com/Treksploration. Subscribe. There's free memberships. You can be all kinds of levels. There's lieutenant. There's captains. There's omnipotence. We can grant you omnipotence through Patreon. Check out our Instagram. That's Instagram.com/Treksploration pod. We are at Treksploration on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, smiling at me. Email us at treksplorationpod@gmail.com. And if you want to send us something, send us some Star Trek Barbies if you happen to have a whole case of them and you don't need all of them. Send it to P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. And remember, that's a post office box. And we're at Buy Me a Coffee with buymeacoffee.com/Treksploration. And Willard did. The omnipotent Willard. Once again, we'd like to thank all our patrons and our crew, and especially Omnipotent Willard for being omnipotent, and Captain Charles for taking control of this ship. Next up on our TNG episodes, we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 23, Skin of Evil. But that waits until Christopher D. Philippus gets back.
That's going to be a crazy one.
So for now, while he's tramping around Europe, we're doing bonus episodes. And I have no idea what the next one is. And we have some guest co-hosts lined up. So it's going to be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you. So any suggestions, Allison? Anything good that we should look into?
Episodes to cover?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. Rascals.
Rascals. That's a great one. I love Rascals. Yeah, that's a good one. The actor who played young Guinan was great in that episode.
They dubbed over her though. That was so weird.
Yeah, and then
for some reason they dubbed over her.
Yeah, it was weird, and it bothers me just like the Outrageous Okana. The whole episode's dubbed. But
the whole episode's dubbed.
Yeah, if you ever watch it again, I ruined it for you. I'm sorry. The whole episode is dubbed for some reason.
Wait, why is the whole episode? What?
It makes no sense. But I'm a lip reader, so when things are like ADR, it just bugs me.
I usually can tell. They just lose the audio for it?
They must have had some kind of problem. They must have. Either that or the director was a different kind of director and was saying, okay, walk here, say this, do this, open the door. I don't know. The whole time.
That's strange. That had to have been a lot of work for them.
It is strange. So I really appreciate you coming on, Allison, and thank you for filling in for Christopher D. Philippus.
Well, thanks for having me. I'll have to be back on when Chris is actually here because I'd like to.
When I go to Europe, not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I'll go in person and then record in Europe.
There you go.
But yeah, you can find me on most socials at Allison Pregler. I'm on Blue Sky. Actually, shouldn't say most socials. I am not on X. You will not find me there.
Nope, me neither. You got to draw the line somewhere.
Sky. Yeah, I am on Blue Sky at Allison Pregler. You can find me on YouTube at Allison Pregler or at Movie Nights the Series. I do all sorts of videos talking about Baywatch, Star Trek, So Bad It's Good movies. I just did an episode about Star Trek on the Bride of Chaotica episode, which is another Voyager one. I actually had a really good time with that one. Mostly I'm goofing.
If you want to know Allison's thoughts in detail on Spirit Folk, the video will be linked below or in one of those thumbnails at the end. So you can check that out. It's a really good one. Rennie's been liking your compilation videos lately. I think she sleeps all night to like the best of Baywatch nights or something.
Is she watching the Baywatch?
Yeah, it's like an 8-hour video or something crazy.
Gosh, yeah.
It's
well, thank her for the engagement and algorithm boost.
She wanted me to tell you that she believes, she's not sure, but she believes she's the world record holder of views of your calendar. What is it called?
Oh, the advent calendar.
The advent calendar. She watches that at least once a night when she's here.
I'm glad she enjoyed that one. That was
so a good 150 times a year at least.
Oh, well, good.
So, I don't know if you get individual
she knows it better
things.
Than I do. I don't remember half the stuff from that one, but I ate a bunch of cheese.
Something about cheese. You ate it and wasn't sure if it was any good because it wasn't refrigerated.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how long it was unrefrigerated, but it was Gouda, so I guess it was Gouda.
But she's such a fan of that video. She wanted me to tell you that, and because she wasn't sure if the analytics would say like one person in Florida watches it every night or something.
No, but she's giving me all those views.
Yeah. But this past Christmas, I bought her all the advent calendars I could find that you recommended people not buy.
Oh yeah, half of them aren't there because they're just generic, whatevers.
Yeah, but she got the Home Alone advent calendar. She just thought it was the best because you said not to buy it, and we got it anyway. And she had Gouda cheese for the first time.
Nice.
So, yeah, you got a little fan there.
Oh, well, tell her thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Allison, for coming on our show. And you're welcome back anytime, hopefully when Chris is here, so we can get more Chrisisms in there. And thank you. And thank you, everyone at home, for watching. I really appreciate it. And for Treksploration, I'm Albie.
I'm Allison.
And we'll see you next time.
Watch it all night, we're ready for the ride. Check it to the core, side by side. Feel the rhythm as we move to the beat. And we're World Podcast with DLB. Sound waves flowing, we set the stage. Listen, Albie Blue Rhythms from every age. Captain Charles, get ready to the cosmic tide. Get our limited look. Time to ride.